Sometimes I think back to those nights when life felt safe. When the sound of my husband breathing beside me was enough to calm every storm inside me. My name's Margaret, and this story still haunts me every single night. It was late, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. The room was quiet, except for the faint ticking of the clock on the wall and the wind brushing against the curtains. I turned in bed and pulled the blanket closer when I heard him mumbling. At first I thought he was dreaming. You know how men are. They'll talk nonsense in their sleep sometimes. But then I heard it. He said a name. A woman's name. Emily. I froze. He said it again, softer this time. Emily, don't go. Please. My heart dropped. I'd been married to Daniel for 38 years. In all that time, I never once heard that name come from his lips. Not once. I sat up, staring at him, his face calm, peaceful, like he was living in another world. A world I wasn't part of. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I made him his coffee like always, smiled like everything was fine. But my hands trembled as I set the cup down. Rough night? I asked. He looked at me with those kind eyes, the same eyes that once made me fall in love. No, slept like a baby, he said, sipping his coffee. And then I knew he didn't remember a thing. But I did. For the next few nights, I couldn't sleep. I kept waiting to hear that name again. And when it finally happened, it was worse. Emily, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I couldn't take it anymore. I shook him awake. Daniel, I said. Who's Emily? He blinked, confused. What? What are you talking about? You said her name, I whispered. In your sleep. He rubbed his eyes, sighed, and said, You're dreaming, Maggie. I don't know any Emily. But the way his voice cracked at the end told me he was lying. The next day, I started looking. His phone, his drawers, the garage, even the basement where he kept his old boxes. And then, I found it. A small photo album, tucked inside an old toolbox. The first picture was of Daniel younger, maybe in his 20s, with his arm around a woman, blonde hair, blue eyes, a smile that could light up a room. On the back of the photo, written in neat handwriting, were the words, Forever yours, Emily, 1984. My knees went weak. 1984. That was the year before Daniel and I met. I sat there on the cold basement floor, staring at that picture for what felt like hours. Who was she? Why did he keep this? When he got home that evening, I was waiting for him. I held the photo in my hand. He froze the moment he saw it. Where did you get that? He asked quietly. I should be asking you that, I said. He didn't say a word for a long time. Then, slowly, he sat down at the table and whispered, She was someone I loved. Before you... The room went silent. He told me Emily was his fiancée. They were engaged to be married when she died in a car accident. He said he never told me because he didn't want to bring pain into our marriage. That he thought he'd buried that part of his past. But I could see it in his eyes. He hadn't buried it. He'd kept it alive. All these years. For days, I tried to let it go. Tried to tell myself it was just a memory. That he still loved me. But every time he looked distant, every time he stared out the window, I wondered if he was seeing her in his mind instead of me. I started hearing him whisper her name more often, even when he wasn't asleep. Sometimes in the middle of the day, when he was alone in his study. Once, I caught him sitting by the fireplace, whispering softly, I miss you, Emily. That's when I broke. Why are you doing this to me? I cried. I'm your wife, Daniel. She's gone. He turned toward me, tears streaming down his face, and said something that shattered me completely. She's not gone, Margaret. She's here. He pointed to his heart. And then he whispered, Sometimes, I see her in my dreams, and she asks me why I left her. Why I didn't die with her that night. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. He wasn't just dreaming about her. He was haunted by her. Over the next few months, his health started to decline. He forgot things, our anniversary, our friends' names, even where he'd left his keys. But he never forgot her. One night, he looked at me with tired eyes and said, "If I ever go before you, promise me something." "What?" I asked. "Don't hate her. She was my past, but you were my peace." And then he smiled that old soft smile, the one I fell in love with, and said, "You saved me, Maggie. You really did." He passed away 2 weeks later in his sleep. When I went through his things, I found a letter tucked behind that same photo of Emily. The paper was old, yellowed, and the ink was fading. It read, "If love is real, it never dies. It only changes form." I sat there for a long time, holding that letter to my chest, and for the first time, I didn't feel jealous anymore. I just felt sad. Because I realized love doesn't always belong to just one lifetime. Sometimes it stretches across two. Now, every night, I still sleep on his side of the bed. Sometimes, I think I hear him whisper in his sleep, maybe to her, maybe to me, I'll never know. But one thing I've learned, my dear, is that when someone truly loves, they don't stop, even after death. They just keep whispering, until someone hears. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from.